चलेंगे तो कल तक चलोगे?
Good morning students. This is in continuation with the earlier lecture which I had given on Virginia Woolf's How Should One Read a Book? An essay. So it's prescribed in BA Part 2 second paper. That day I had given you an introduction. Today I shall be just dealing with the main points which have been emphasized on this particular essay. In this particular essay, and I am just writing the points on the board. There are 5 main points which I will stress. First is keep open your mind. Virginia Woolf believes that every writer writes with his or her own viewpoint. But it's not necessary. She says, on reading a book, it is not necessary that we have to take advice of others, because she says, I will be the last person to give you advice. How should one read a book? I can advise my own self but not others, because whenever you read a book, though if we follow all the critics, then we have certain rules and regulations. We have to sympathize, we have to go on with the writer of a particular genre. Okay, but then she says, we do have, we cannot avoid, we do have our own personal likings, we do have our own inclination, we do have our own emotions. So it's not necessary that we can avoid these things. So I'll just read out a few lines. She says, if she had to give answer to the above question, it would apply only to her but not to the reader. She stresses on the fact that only advice one person can give to another person is to give no advice. No advice on reading. Now see, Virginia Woolf in this particular essay, she's so genuine, she's so real, and she very outspokenly, she gives you her intense feelings about reading a piece of literature. Then she says, we always, one more thing we should not have in following or on reading a book, that is, we always have biased opinions. Like for poetry, we may think, it's not real. For fiction, we may think it's a real story. And for an autobiography, we think that, it's all flattering in nature. So if we are having these preconceptions about, a piece of literature, she says, certainly, it is to some extent, it is not right. Because having preconception about any piece of literature, it devalues a piece of literature. Because you do have, reader is also a creator. So this is what is her feeling, because you do provide, your severe criticism of a piece, and you do severely criticize, and you do sympathize also with a particular author. But you cannot do it completely, that you completely follow an author and you are suppressing your own emotions. So that is also wrong. extent she believes that. So when you have to keep open your mind, so there are certain, in the words of Woolf herself, I will just quote her lines, I will just read out few lines from the essay. How far shall we resist or give way to the sympathies and antipathies that the man himself rouses in us? So sensitive are words, so receptive of the character of the author. These are questions that press upon us when we read lives and letters, and we must answer them for ourselves, for nothing can be more fatal than to be guided by the preferences of others in matters so personal. So what I am trying to say is, reading according to Woolf is a personal matter. Reading according to Woolf is a personal matter of choice. You don't require anybody's advice. Don't require advice. So that is why you have to keep open your mind. Now see the second particular advice which she gives is that you have to learn to read by trying to write. Yes. So you know, here she gives an example. She says you can understand poetry if you start writing the poetry. You can read it better, you can comprehend it better when you know how to write a poetry. And she certainly gives more stress on a piece of poetry. So she says, yes, great writers from Jane Austen to Hardy knew that writing is a difficult and complex art, and a good reader must be capable of fineness of perception and boldness of imagination. It's only writing which leads to the understanding and perfection of reading. And then further she says, it's not necessary that we read all classics. That means we must read even the books of, what you say, even the books which are not very famous, which are lesser in reading, because they certainly give you more experience. It increases to your experience. This is what. And then fourthly she says, I told you, she gives more stress on poetry because she believes that poetry is having a great impact on a particular reader. When you read poetry, when you read a piece of good poem, then you really certainly forget everything else, and you are so engrossed and immersed in a piece of literature. That is why she says, if you have to understand a piece of literature, you must have a wide knowledge of piece of poetry. And then she goes on further to quote the writers. So then fifthly she says, certainly when you read a piece of literature, it is being said that you have to follow an author, his likes, his dislikes, but after reading a poem, you just don't have to be judgmental on spot. It's not on the spur of moment you are judging a piece of work. She says, give it some time, then give your judgments, and your judgments have to be severe also, because you have to criticize also, and simultaneously you have to sympathize also. Both things are required. Then only a piece of literature becomes perfect, and in a way there is a sort of an innovation also, which is certainly required even in a piece of literature, because it's a work of creation not only by the writer but also by the reader. It enhances. A piece of literature gets its importance only by its reader. Now, so I found this particular point to be highly impressive. First of all, in her own words of Virginia Woolf, I'll just quote, "Let us then be severe in our judgments. Let us compare each book with the greatest of its kind." See, you have to give a reading to a piece of literature, whether it's fiction, whether it's poetry. But then certainly after reading it, you have to analyze it. You have to you have to compare it with a great piece of classic literature, she says. Then further she says, "Yet how impossible. We may stress the value of sympathy. We may try to sink our identity as we read, but we know that we cannot sympathize wholly or immerse ourselves wholly, that is completely. There is always a demon in us who whispers, 'I hate, I love,' and we cannot silence it." So this is very important. I hate, I love. So see, though according to the critics we have to sympathize with the author, but Virginia Woolf very blatantly she says, when we read a piece of literature, you know, we cannot completely forget ourselves. So that particular thing comes, I hate, I love. So certainly we cannot forget ourselves while immersing ourselves in a piece of literature. So we have to give it certain time after reading, and then we have to judge. So that is what. So it requires a lot of patience. Now, sixth point is, you have to learn from the experts as you train your taste. So, in her own words, and if she says, she believes, yes, we have to follow literary critics and rules, but while reading a book, our quality of imagination, insight and judgment is required, because a good reader also has his or her own responsibility. Now here Virginia Woolf, you know, she gives more stress on responsibility of a reader. This is very remarkable. Responsibility of a reader. What is the responsibility of a reader? Not only to follow the author, not only to appreciate him, but also to criticize him. So that is certainly required. Okay? So how does she end this essay? She believes that judging a work of art with great sympathy and simultaneously with great severity improves the quality of a good literature. So what you have to do? You have to judge, you know, a piece of literature with great sympathy, to contradictory things, okay, and also with great severity. So these both things are required. She does not deny one thing or another. In her words, to quote, "And if by our means books were to become stronger, richer and more varied, that would end worth reading." you know. So we also add to the, we are also creator, readers are also creators. So that is why great sympathy is also required and great severity is also required. Then only a piece of literature gets its main meaning or the main essence. So I end my lecture here. Again we will continue with certain viewpoints on this particular essay. Thank you so much.